It's such a relief that they like it. I mean, if they didn't like it, I probably wouldn't be here. I'd probably be just like a pile of bones.
At least 3 times he's like, "Die, monster! You don't belong in this world." And I was like, it's a little much.
I would have been disappointed if I, even as a hardcore Demon Souls Dark Souls player, breezed right through. Like, that would have been disappointing, obviously.
Because it is a product better than other things. It is a lot better than this Bravely Default demo.
But that's what I'm saying. I cannot speak.
Wait, why are you saying that now? You don't
because I
have any
haven't
idea.
played it.
The first game, it's mostly inspired by Aztec and Mayan ruins and architecture and culture. And the second one is actually going to take a different twist, and it's mostly going to be based on Norse mythology this time.
So what kind of cake is this, Jeremy?
We can get into the cake on camera.
We are
on
rolling.
camera.
Oh, we are on camera?
Any idea where Mom's knife is?
We're late. If I knew, I would have cut that cake, shoved it down your gullets, and had us out the door already. Oh!
I thought we should start the interview just like the game with cake.
The way the interview is going to go is going to be like this. What
And
did you ask me?
So this morning I got up and I made some cake because I knew Tim was coming into town and he likes cake.
Holy crap, it's cake.
And it's so I got a pressure cooker. I got a new
This is
toy.
the part I don't believe.
No, I got a pressure cooker.
Because I've made
for
like beef
Christmas.
stroganoff in a pressure cooker.
Yeah, and
before.
pork belly.
So
that
is
type
there
of
beef
stuff.
I don't know if
stroganoff in
I
this?
think this is a cake, unless you told me.
It's
Was
like
it originally
it's
like this big and you put it in the pressure cooker and it would...
It compresses it down. It's a ricotta and Asian pear spiced cake.
Wait, isn't ricotta cheese?
Because I thought you were
Yeah,
going to do it with
it's like a
Bartlett pears
cheese-
and I was like,
I don't like cheese.
Ugh.
What?
But
You won't even know.
I don't like a lot of things, so
Yeah,
that's okay.
you don't want this cake?
Would you
Come
like
on,
some?
that's too bad.
Should we cut some cake and then
Is that how it
start chatting?
starts?
Yeah, let's do it.
Know where Mom's knife is, Rocky?
If I did, we'd all be eating cake right now.
So anyways,
It's beautiful. Oh, it smells good.
Are you somewhat relieved that now Broken Age is out, or out to the backers, or it will be totally out by the time this airs?
It's exciting because we've been talking with our community for 2 years about this project, and now they get to play it, and it's such a relief that they like it. I mean, if they didn't like it, I probably wouldn't be here. I'd probably be just like a pile of bones somewhere.
well, you launched it 2 years ago, and it was at Dice because I actually was with you guys at dinner as you guys made your first kind of little bit of money, and it was blowing away expectations.
Oh my god, that was a fun night.
That was
wasn't
a crazy night because I know every time I would either look at you or like Greg or Brad, I would give you a look and then you would just spurt out a number, and it was like constant tracking.
Oh my god! Because they told us I think the average Kickstarter at that time was $5,000.
And what was the original? You guys wanted like
400,000,
right?
And I was just like, if we just make, because we're like, what if we don't get 400,000 by the end of it? We'll be so embarrassed. So I just hope we get like 2,000 tonight, and then it reached 400,000 in 6 hours.
So it obviously blew up. How much more of a complication was that for you, scaling wise?
I mean, it changed everything. It was at first just a documentary project. 2-player Productions had done a documentary about Minecraft, and they wanted to do a documentary about us, and we're like, let's do it. And how we fund it? And they're like, well, Kickstarter, like we kickstarted our last one, and that was going to be the plan. Except for we were like, if we can't show everything if we have another party involved, like a publisher, because they won't let us show the bad parts. Because I wanted to show everything in the documentary, and so we decided to kickstart a game too.
I was gonna say, well, Ryan and I have worked together now for many years, and we've always had that kind of dream project of going internally at a studio and shooting kind of that whole behind-the-scenes kind of story, and it's always been the publisher.
There was the last day.
What if the game gets canceled?
But there was Last Day of Psychonauts. On G4 with the crying secretary.
How many years ago was that? Almost 10 years.
Almost 10 years.
Lee Kuo, right?
Yeah, that was Lee.
He's at Telltale now.
Yeah.
And it's nice because we have like a little document of what we were like then, what I weighed,
snapshot,
and what my facial hair was like. But now,
well, you're the Dick Clark of video games, aren't you?
Okay, I hope so. Cause yeah, sure.
Because you're like 73. Right?
Yeah, I do look good for 73.
I was trying to figure out where you were going with that.
Yeah.
But at that time, like that was like a terrible crunch mode, and it was actually a terrible thing in some ways to show because we were there all night working on that game.
Well, I remember like there were people crying in the episode.
They got one of our programmers in the hallway, and they're like, "What's going on?" And he's like, "It's terrible. This is really terrible. This crunch mode is terrible." And so that was great that was recorded, and this process has been much smoother. You know.
Are you beholden to any publishers right now?
No. I mean,
and how
we're
many
not
active
against
projects do you have?
publishers. We're just like, don't have to take any sort of bad deal. So we can take good deals that allow us to keep our IP rights and stuff like that. So if good deals come along, we can still take them.
But you have multiple projects. How many people work at Double Fine right now?
About 60, 62. But we have
That's
one
really
game,
impressive.
2 games funded by Kickstarter. Massive Chalice was kickstarted, and Broken Age. And then 2 that were funded by investment from the Indie Fund, you know, that group of indie games people who are investing in projects. And so we're just doing multiple things at multiple sources, and it's great because we are, you know, the old cycles, traditional cycles, like it's kind of work for hire. You get paid to make a game, and then you pay your people, and by the end of the game, now you have 0 money left. And so if your game is a big hit, you can get a lot of money, but if your game just sells moderately or breaks even, you don't really see any of those profits because they all kind of disappear into the accounting of
marketing alone on some of these projects, right? It's
marketing is like equal to your dev budget often,
Right.
so it's like you just never see any money, and then so now you have to take whatever next deal is offered to you, and or else you're going to lose.
Looking for that next hit.
Yeah. So this is we found out after we got our first angel investor. We met on Twitter. His name's Steve Dengler, and he was just like a fan who is like, hey, do you want to do a PC port of one of your games? So we brought Costume Quest and Stacking to PC and self-published them, and then we got money from that. We're like, oh my gosh, you can make money from games. This is weird. This is weird, and that kind of turned it around.
I was curious with the Amnesia Fortnite thing, which I guess could you briefly explain that for people who don't know?
Yeah, we do this thing where we forget what we're working on. That's what the Amnesia part is, right? For 2 weeks, and then we split the big team. We had one big team working on Brutal Legend, and we did in the middle of Brutal Legend. We split the team into 4 teams, and they all had to make a game in 2 weeks, and that was this big trial by fire of like new project leaders and stuff. And that's where Costume Quest and Stacking and Iron Brigade and Once Upon a Monster and Middle Manager Justice all came out of.
Did you partake in the Amnesia Fortnite yourself?
No, that's like my teacher study week where I try and catch up on my writing that I'm usually behind.
Okay. Staff development day.
Or wander around and laugh at everyone who's working so hard.
It's a terrible idea.
Yeah.
Start over.
Oh, good luck with that one. That's going to be great. Stacking dolls.
So I haven't finished Broken Age yet, but I played a fair amount of it. I'm curious, like, not to go too technical, but how did you guys do the art? I mean, I really, like, people always want to throw around, like, I'm watching a cartoon. But I really do feel like I'm watching a cartoon this time, and it's very 2D, and you're still seeing that scaling as you walk into the horizon and stuff like that.
Back when we were doing like it was a really small game, I thought we were just going to paint the backgrounds and then we'd just do some small adventure in front of them. But when it got bigger, that's when we decided we wanted to do not just a nostalgic throwback, but like a modernization, but a really faithful modernization of adventure games where they looked like high production value, high fidelity, which meant multiple planes and parallax, and Lee Petty, who's one of those, like a fine artist and also a technical artist, kind of figures out how to actually make that look good and look good when the camera moves in and look good when you're moving sideways and figure out how the character works. And then our programmers built a system where you could be on different layers of the picture and move in between the different layers and on these little bridges that scale the character. And
Stacking's kind of a traditional adventure with a kind of a weird little twist. But Broken Age is an adventure game through and through and through. And people are always saying adventure games are dead, so I don't know. I guess I don't have a real question. It's like, where can adventure, like, how is this adventure game doing so well? How did you get millions and millions of dollars, and how is it
I think
thriving?
It's just an interesting, really a change in the way things work. I think technology lets us organize people who were not organized before. And there were all these adventure games fans before, but they weren't organized. And now they, through the something like Kickstarter, allows them to pool their money and get 90,000 people together, and they all give me roughly $35, and all of a sudden we have this big game budget to work with. And that's so different than if you are a big company and you have to face a board or you have to face the just shareholders, and you got to explain, like, I want to make this game that will sell this much when I could be making this like shooter that's going to make this much. It's really hard to explain that to people, but to people like us who just want to make this game because we love it and we think it'd be great, all we need to do is make sure that we can make a business out of it. And we, you want more cake?
No, where's the cheese? I don't get it.
It's in there.
Yeah. Sorry.
Don't
continue.
Don't. If you don't want any more, I'll take your piece.
No, it's fine.
It was delicious, by the way. I really enjoyed it. I'm gonna have seconds.
He can't have any more.
Yeah, I think I'm full. My diabetes.
Oh, well, that's a downer.
Well, you're not having to put it on. You have lots of places to put it, right? You can do iPad. It's not.
Yeah,
just,
our
it's
engine
not
is
just like a console market anymore, and people are playing games
Right.
everywhere.
And we're trying to be. Our philosophy is to be on every platform possible. Make everyone play it. I mean, it's optional to
You
play
guys
it,
on Linux?
I guess. We are. We got a Steam box in our
That's what I was
office.
gonna ask,
I think
if
that's
you
not a
guys-
secret, right? They sent it anyway. We
Yeah.
got a Steam box, and like seeing just so many of our games just work for it right away. I was like, people were asking us why we're supporting Linux so much, and now they know. Now they're not laughing.
Did you get the controller?
Yeah, it worked really well. I played it at home that way, and the great thing about it is we're in beta right now. Broken Age is out, and so we're getting a lot of bug reports, and the Linux people are reporting bugs and fixing them. They're like, you know what I mean? They're like, here, I found this bug and I decompiled, I did all this stuff, and here's a solution to it, and we're like, thanks. And so, and they're really happy to have games, and they're really, it just behooves you to serve that community.
What do you think of when you see something like this?
Why doesn't the purple girl have sleeves? Because Purple Tentacle has arms.
I guess, Rohan, first of all, let me thank you for inviting Bloodworth and I into your office. Blood? Did you say blood?
Did you say Castlevania?
No. You did, though.
Yeah.
But, so I played Lords of Shadow 2. It's really fucking weird.
They set it up at the end of the original. They with that surprise kind of post-credit sequence, they really set it up to say, all right, we're going to get weird here. But I don't think anyone really knows what to expect.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the thing that, my biggest problem with that game is it's like, they're so far out in their own direction that it's hard to connect to Castlevania fans.
It's like a reimagined Mythos.
And they mentioned, with this game, this is the last Castlevania game I think that the team is doing, and they're like,
Right.
we're gonna, whatever we felt like we might not have been able to get away with in the first game, we're gonna do it in the second game.
And that beginning part in the demo was the way that they handled the Titan this time. It was like this big, crazy, like clockwork robot.
Right.
And the ones in the first Lords of Shadow, they were trying to sort of do that Shadow of the Colossus thing, but it was kind of a smaller scale, and it was this repetitive thing of like, okay, climb it and then attack it and then climb it again.
It kind of felt very quick-timey in that you had to repeat certain sequences.
Yeah.
And if you climb up and you get knocked off, you're like, oops, okay, I need to dodge 2 rocks, wait for him to punch, crawl up on his, it's very like sequence by sequence. So yeah, this is more like
it's actually part of it's almost like its own level.
It's like a
very
big wild
thing.
set piece. They also have this guy, which is one of the the weird tech things they're bringing there, and I want to talk about this more later. So the paladin and flying power armor shooting like he charges up glowing arrows, and you have to get him to target these rivets, and they do that a lot though. So you're climbing on this thing, and you're like, okay, I can't move up, so I need to stand by this rivet, have him charge a shot, and then move out of the way and have him shoot it. But I mean, it's okay, it works well as a set piece thing. But sometimes I'm like, there's nothing you can do than wait sometimes, and it's another one of the things where I feel like I wish these guys trusted the player a little bit more to move things along. I did get out of the castle, and onto the streets a bit. You can see some of the things you can explore. You'll also run into things that are like, you'll walk into a room, it'll like pan up to a thing and say, you cannot reach this at this time. Come back later and you might be able to reach it, which personally is not my, that's...
After you get double
I don't
jumped.
really have the discovery there, but the world seems, it seems pretty big, and they really emphasized the scope, the huge amount of effort in building this space. At least they mentioned, they're like, this is kind of like, the castle's kind of like Dracula's mind, and it kind of, is weird and changeable or something.
Kind of like a hub, would you say? Like
I
the
think,
castle's a hub,
the castle and then the
this...
city outside, which is like it's not like, the setting is modern day, but the apocalypse is kind of going down now, it's not quite.
And it is
the
actually
bad
that
guys
same
have
town
won, I
from the
suppose.
first game. Remember how there's a town that you kind of went through before the castle?
Oh, it's just
It's
developed.
that town
it's
is just developed over the years. Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, it's a cool idea, and the castle and the city connect at certain points. One thing that they mentioned, we'll see how it works, is a mastery system. So essentially upgrades, some of the upgrades to your moves are tied to using those moves. So like if you just, spam this button and you don't do these moves, then you won't get the stronger versions. And then later on, when a particular move like, a ground slam or something will be really useful in a fight, then you won't have a strong version of it and whatever. So they're encouraging you to do different things.
Yeah.
I kind of worry, when they have those achievements in a game, like get 50 pistol kills or whatever,
Right.
I kind of worry that you'll be like, oh, this is going to be really useful, so I'm going to do it 50 times in a row and just go ahead and level it up. I didn't really get far enough into the game to have the mastery system open to me, however, so, I'm just speculating, but I think in general the combat feels pretty good. There's a cool, rather than the roll in the first game, have like kind of a floating dash move, kind of vampire like, and you can actually knock smaller guys over with it, which is fun.
Could you go in and explore like the menus and the abilities? You mentioned the masteries, but is there anything more than that? Like, are there equipable items?
There are like items, relics. There's like a dragon form. There seem to be like 100 abilities. You change things out with a D-pad. You're using all the buttons on the controller. It looks like they have a lot. They showed something from, I guess, a little bit later in the game. And they had, there's a ton of abilities and a ton of things. And you do have your focus mode when you build up a high enough combo, which gives you different abilities with your, your light and dark weapons, like an ice thing to freeze people. It worked specifically well on some bosses. But yeah, there is a ton of that, like a lot. There's like blood daggers that they're specific, blood blobby things in the environment, and you hit them and then it opens up a passage. So a lot of that kind of, ability lock and key stuff. And again, I didn't quite have the world open to explore, so I'm having to try to infer a lot. But yeah, a lot of that, and you know what? They also got stealth.
Stealth
Uh-oh, might be right. So Beck's like, Dracula, Gabriel, I need you to infiltrate this corporation. And he's like, okay.
Okay,
I'll do it. And there's like this weird like suit of armor that has like this big weird wavy sword, and it talks in kind of like a computer voice. He's like, what's his name? Go with him. And the robot's like, yes. So what you need to do, there are these gigantic troopers. They look like something, they're like Space Marine size, huge dudes. And I think that Zobek calls them Golgoth troopers. So they're kind of like cyber demonic soldiers. You have to move into a shadowy area, basically. Turn into rats. While you're rats, you can run around, and you hear the guys are like, thom, thom, thom. Gee, this is I'm on patrol. And you have to find another place that's dark to untransform into rats. If you can sneak up behind the guy, you can possess him. Then you basically like really slow lumbering. His health bar ticks down, I think. And you basically hit a switch on the wall. And then like a door opens and you explode from inside his body, and you go into another room where they teach you how to shoot a swarm of bats to distract guys. These guys, so the guy's like, oh, I got bats around me, so then you sneak up, jump up on a pipe. When you're going past, they do a little cutscene where you slip and fall, and then it sets up another stealth room where you basically have to sneak up behind guys, possess them, and then either hit a switch or eliminate them. And they have a lot of these other elements. You remember a Toy Maker character? I bet Huber does.
When you shrink down and you go in his little toy box?
Yeah, like there's like a puzzle in the game. Basically, there's this character that lives in the castle, and he's been wronged or something. So you have to perform this play by selecting props at specific times while someone is telling a story.
Naturally,
a chest opens up, and you get a heart, and you stick it in his chest.
Thank you for returning my heart, good sir.
It's like you're doing really this, and you don't know how.
Yeah, really weird.
It all
with the demons and the angels and the mechs. Some also the religious angle, I guess. Fight Mega Paladin, who is like the leader. He's been sniping at you with this bow and taking off the rivets for you. Thank you very much. So you fight him, and at least 3 times he's like, "Die, monster! You don't belong in this world." And I was like, it's a little much. But that's not what I'm getting at. Is the weird religious angle. So at the end of the fight, he's like badly beaten and he's clutching a crucifix and he starts reciting a prayer in Latin. And then Gabriel grabs the cross and he's like, I'm going to say the same prayer. And then they both say it and he's like, you don't understand. I'm God's chosen Dracula to fight Satan, I guess, or imply. He says, you know, at least the character believes that he is God's chosen one. The cross explodes. That dude is like vaporized. All the knights around you are vaporized. And Gabriel's like, yes, I'm evil, but I'm also, you know, God's chosen one. And stuff. So, yeah, and that's when it goes to the, you know, the murder.
That's when you go and eat a family.
You know, the point here is that, you know, Dracula's an evil guy. And you'll read in 100 interviews, he's like, yeah, you know, we wanted to make him kind of like Tony Soprano, you know, he does some bad things, he's a bad guy. Just to make it clear, you know, you're playing a dude that's bad. But by putting you in this scene at first person, I think they're trying to make you kind of, you know, participate in this and feel responsible. But I really didn't feel that at all. You know, you really feel like, you know, hold forward, hit the button. You don't know what's going to happen when you hit the button or when you hold forward. At first, you know, I just sat there, I'm like, oh, what happens if I just bleed out? And obviously, you know, they're like, no, not like that, you know. Start it again, you know, hold forward, hit the buttons. It's crazy. There is so much stuff, the demons, the machines, like the God and the Satan, and Zobek in his slick business suit with the Cyber Knight. I can't get it all into my head yet.
That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to make you question what's good and what's evil.
Yeah, I'm totally questioning everything.
And your weakness will be my strength.
This must be a dream.